It goes without saying that the past couple of days have been very strange for Donald Trump and the Trump campaign in general, but you could say that about any random string of days over the past couple of years and almost certainly be correct. This past weekend, leading into the beginning of this week, was somehow different. His appearances and speeches have gone from the standard weird and depraved nonsense that we've unfortunately become accustomed to, and it has instead seemed to finally tip over into stuff that's truly, truly bizarre. Now, in some cases, it is comically ridiculous. In others, a true horror show. And we're going to attempt to cover all of it in a way that attempts to be coherent, but please understand that it's becoming hard for anyone to make sense of what he's been doing and saying recently, because it ranges so wildly from violent rhetoric to complete gibberish to simply standing around silently for painfully long periods of time while music blares and people stare into the void.
In fact, before we get into this news story, let's just play 20 to 30 minutes of music while we stand here and sort of sway and wave at the audience. And
we're not actually going to do that.
Not going to do that because that would be bizarre.
Even 10 to 15 seconds of standing there awkwardly and listening to music is rough. And people have a weird idea of time. And when you say 30 minutes, it doesn't sound like that long. But imagine sitting still for a minute.
Excruciating long to show up to what you think is a Donald Trump speech, something you...
Well, this was a town hall. This was supposed to be a Q&A, which would you would assume would be inclusive of the audience and kind of taking some questions.
But they love whatever you give them.
Yeah.
They were happy about it.
And in this case, they got to see DJ Trump on the ones and twos.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should start with that last bit about Trump simply standing around, swaying, and sometimes gesturing, barely uttering a phrase for over half an hour while music plays over the loudspeakers at a recent event. It is legitimately so unbelievable that you'll have to just go and watch the full clips for yourself.
If you have the time.
We can't show the whole clips for many reasons, mainly because he is playing copyrighted music, heavily protected music that will get us struck. And also because, and we're not joking, this does go on for over 30 minutes. It's like 10 plus songs.
Yeah.
All while at least 2 attendees are carted out of the town hall in Pennsylvania after requiring medical attention. It somehow bears repeating. The current Republican candidate stood on stage at what was supposed to be a Q&A town hall and bobbed around to music for a reported 39 minutes straight. And what you're seeing on your screens now is just a small fraction of what took place in Oaks, Pennsylvania on Monday night after Trump decided to cut the event short and just let the music do the talking. I think we've all had enough yap, jibber jabber. I think what the people want now is Andrew Lloyd Webber's beautiful memories from Cats.
Yeah. Before the bizarre spectacle played out, 2 attendees experienced heat-related medical issues, leading Trump to comment,
"Would anybody else like to faint?"
That's good. The man knows how to work a crowd.
Yeah, he then cut the Q&A session, which was moderated by South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. He cut it short and said,
"Let's not do any more questions. Let's just listen to music. Let's make it into a music." Who the hell wants to hear questions, right?
Which is almost exactly as you described. For more on this, we'll turn to the Washington Post, but we will keep playing clips of Trump bobbing around awkwardly while the music was playing as we read from the article, just to drive home how bizarre all of this was.
And to be clear, even before the music played, things were not exactly going great.
No.
I've seen it pretty accurately described as Kristi Noem was sort of acting as his caretaker.
Yes.
His hired help.
This has to happen more and more frequently because he is quite literally losing his mind.
Yeah, and she was up there, she's just like, God, if my career didn't hinge on this, gravel pit. I have to keep him alive.
I'd much rather be shooting my pets in South Dakota right now than here on stage.
If I had an animal acting like this, I know what I would do.
Put it down, yeah. So for 39 minutes, Trump swayed, bopped, sometimes stopping to speak, as he turned the event into almost a living room listening session of his favorite songs from his self-curated rally playlist. He played 9 tracks. He danced. He shook hands with people on stage. He pointed to the crowd. Noem stood beside him, nodding with her hands clasped. Trump stayed in place on stage, slowly moving back and forth. He was done answering questions for the night.
Now, for reference, because we know you're all very curious, the playlist included the following songs, which are probably the only songs he hasn't been legally banned from using yet.
Yeah.
God Bless the USA. Obviously, Lee Greenwood fully on board. So
he's got those are his Bibles that Trump is merely taking credit for.
Double authorized on that one. But then Ave Maria, I believe it's the I can't remember. It's Pavarotti's version, I think. Beautiful version. Time to Say Goodbye, YMCA, of course.
Yeah.
Hallelujah, Nothing compares to you, and that's by Sinead O'Connor. Well, it's originally by Prince, but
Yeah.
she covered it. But Sinead would definitely have not wanted her song used by Trump. We can say that with some certainty, so that's kind of fucked up. An American Trilogy by Elvis. Rich Men North of Richmond, which is pretty ironic for him, of all people, to be playing that. November Rain, and Memories from the musical Cats. All certified bangers, obviously.
Yeah.
But now back to the Post, which quoted Trump's campaign manager, Stephen Chung, odd job, as he attempted to spin this into a positive. Total love fest at the Pennsylvania town hall. Everyone was so excited they were fainting. So real Donald Trump turned to music, campaign spokesman Stephen Chung wrote on X. Nobody wanted to leave and wanted to hear more songs from the famous DJT Spotify playlist. As Trump stood on stage in his oversized suit and bright red tie, swaying back and forth, it was almost as if he were taking a trip back to decades past. Trump's decision to cut short the question and answer portion of the town hall and instead have the crowd stay to listen to his favorite songs was a somewhat bizarre move, given that the election was only 22 days away. Some in the crowd began to leave. Some looked around, wondering whether he was done speaking for the night and how much longer the dance or sway session would last.
Yeah, some of the crowd in some of the shots, you just see people turning around and looking like, should we leave? I know he's been making a point to yell at people who leave recently, so maybe we shouldn't leave.
He's gone beyond that. He's made it damn near impossible to leave, depending on where his rallies are being held.
Oh yeah, we cover that for sure.
No one leaves.
But even in the rallies themselves, I think it was last week where he goes, "You see that guy leaving? Yeah, he's probably just going to the bathroom. He'll be back.
He's probably gonna take a big old shit. Make sure you wash your hands."
Or don't, I'm not the boss of you. This is freedom, baby. But let's cut back to this past weekend and pivot away from the comically inept Trump to the actually dangerous Trump, who has thrown any plausible deniability that he isn't preparing a full-blown fascist regime out the window. Trump recently appeared in Aurora, Colorado, a city that is not overrun by Venezuelan gangs, to claim that it is a city overrun by Venezuelan gangs, and to use that as a way to lay out his plans for his next term in office, which would apparently, according to him, include rounding people up into camps and then getting rid of them.
We're gonna make them go away.
Now, if you want to think that getting rid of them means he's going to somehow schedule and mass deport a bunch of people back to their country of origin with absolutely zero issues, or that his administration won't expand these orders to include legitimate citizens who happen to be people of color, well, you're obviously pretty gullible. But even taken at face value, what he's proposing is immoral, dehumanizing, and straight out of the fascist playbook, and we swear that we're not using that term lightly. He literally used phrases like bad genes or enemy within while drumming up fear and hatred in order to dehumanize people to the point where his audience not only seemed okay with the idea of rounding people up and potentially killing them, they actually cheered for it.
And I feel like I have to always remind you of this. Illegal, like actual illegal immigrants, less than 0.5% of the national population. It is not a group of people that present any real threat to this country and literally cannot be responsible for most of this country's problems.
And also statistically extremely low on in crime statistics compared to native-born Americans, and also contribute heavily
Most
to
of them
local
still
economies.
contribute taxes in one way or another and don't get anything back from them.
Yeah, so this is dehumanizing on purpose. That is the point. It is putting the world's problems and all of the people in his crowd, it's putting all of their problems on a common enemy. And this has been used, sometimes successfully, in recent history.
Yeah, it's the classic playbook.
Yeah.
And you're falling for it all over again.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, here's just a few clips from the Aurora rally, starting with his claims of defending America from the enemy within.
We have the outside enemy, so you can say China, you can say Russia, you can say Kim Jong-un, you can say, but that's not, it's going to be fun. If you have a smart president, no problem. It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country. That's a bigger enemy than China and Russia.
He then went on to refer to migrants as animals.
They took the criminals out of Caracas and they put them along your border and they said, if you ever come back, we're going to kill you. Think of that. And we have to live with these animals. But we're not going to live with them for long. You watch.
He claimed that they come from the dungeons of the third world to prey on American citizens.
They come from the dungeons, think of that, the dungeons of the third world, from prisons and jails, insane asylums, and mental institutions. And she has had them resettled beautifully into your community to prey upon innocent American citizens. That's what they're doing.
He claimed that gangs got a green light to kill police.
In Colorado, the gang even got a green light to shoot police officers. Did you know that the gang got the okay to kill your police?
He claimed that migrants are bringing in diseases to infect our country, another classic fascist trope.
People come in, they're very sick, very sick. They're coming into our country. They're very, very, very sick with highly contagious disease, and they're let into our country to infect our country, and they're coming in at numbers that nobody's ever seen before.
And then he laid out his plans to round up and remove immigrants that he deems unfit for American life, using an act from the 18th century.
I'm announcing today that upon taking office, we will have an Operation Aurora at the federal level. To expedite the removals of these savage gangs, and I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that.
And he ended his appearance by claiming that he will be liberating Colorado and giving people back their freedom. And just look at the crowd and the reaction here as well.
I will liberate Colorado. I will give you back your freedom and your life. And together, we will make America powerful again.
And this continued throughout the weekend at rallies, as well as during appearances on Fox News, where he claimed that Democrats are far more dangerous than our foreign adversaries.
Oh, wow.
He referred to Democrats as the enemy within and claimed that the National Guard and the military should be used against them.
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
Are you worried yet? Because this isn't just about immigrants. It's about everyone who opposes Trump and his administration. But while we're talking about his rallies, he did end up playing one of the classics over the weekend when his campaign stranded countless rallygoers in a field after the event had concluded, leaving them to walk through vast areas and dirt parking lots in harsh conditions amidst confusion and anger. And if that sounds familiar, it is. This happened frequently during Trump's 2020 campaign, most notably in Omaha, Nebraska, where he left supporters stranded in freezing conditions. From CNN back in 2020, for the next several hours, hundreds and hundreds of people who attended the rally were stranded as a chaotic scene unfolded on dark roads on a remote stretch near the Omaha airport. They waited for buses that didn't arrive, unable to reach the site because of a clogged two-lane road. Many people started walking to their cars, parked 3 or 4 miles away, which blocked the roads even further. Several medics were seen by CNN giving attention to people in the bone-chilling evening air. The temperature was right at freezing, but wind chills were far lower.
Well, he's gone and done it again at his recent rally in Coachella, California.
We sold out Coachella, folks, just like that nasty, who even played last year? I have no idea. I've aged out of Coachella.
That nasty Sabrina Carpenter. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, I guess.
And I can't be sure of this, but from what I've seen, Coachella is not a very red area. It's a pretty working class area. Like it's
Indio, yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like most of the people who actually attended this rally came from kind of far away in the greater,
all over Riverside
the greater
County.
like 909 San Bernardino Riverside areas. So
Yeah, I went to Coachella. Trump's the real Coachella. Yeah.
But yeah, attendees at that Coachella event were left stranded miles from their vehicles after the rally ended. This rally had an added level of absolute absurdity that we'll get to in a second. But first, here's the SF Gate with more on the botched transportation efforts A large crowd of supporters of former President Donald Trump were left stranded in the California desert in triple-digit temperatures on Saturday evening after not enough buses turned up to transport them from a controversial rally back to a parking lot. There used to be like 20 buses when we were being brought here, but now there's only like 3 buses operating, said one rally-goer, Wesley Johnson, in a clip posted on X. Johnson later deleted the clip, but other X accounts reshared it. It's just chaos, absolute chaos. All of us are stranded here. Everyone's stranded here. The clips Johnson posted on X, some of which were posted hours after the rally ended, showed hundreds of people waiting around as night fell, with many expressing concern and confusion. In one clip, Johnson says the parking lot is a 2-hour walk from the venue. Everyone's starting to freak out, he says. There's people that go down this street for I don't know how long. They've been running us around through all the different streets, telling us to go east, and then going west, and then going east again, and then going west. It's an absolute madhouse.
And I just want to point out, because if you're watching, you've never been to Indio or Coachella at all, which I'm assuming is a lot of you, the city blocks in the city of
They're
Indio,
like 2 miles wide.
it's outrageous. They're so large that the basic speed limit in Coachella is like 55 or 60 miles an hour.
That's on just the roads.
Each block, it has to be like, off the top of my head, a half mile each block.
Yeah, it's a very, it's
a grid, but it's a huge, very large grid.
Also, I mean, I haven't seen this talked about, but I imagine it was an issue, is like, yeah, it's still 100 degrees there in the daytime, but the thing about the high desert is once nighttime comes, it gets
cold.
fucking cold.
Yeah.
And so if you were attending a daytime rally and dressed for the occasion,
and
then you were stranded there into the night, you were having a bad time, I imagine.
Yes, it is extreme weather conditions because it's a fucking desert. But yeah, the idea of like going through the city streets is insane. Unless you're in a closed off neighborhood, the city streets it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not an area.
Because I've walked out of that festival before, and it's a
not a pedestrian friendly part of California.
No. Now, okay, think back to what we just talked about regarding Trump's plans for mass deportation. The guy won't even take care of his own supporters' transportation needs. The idea that he's going to successfully, or more importantly, humanely, transport immigrants anywhere is fucking delusional.
Well, Ricky, you're blaming Trump when clearly this was a conspiracy by the liberal Indio, California government.
That's right.
And the liberal private bus companies to thwart Trump's efforts at a perfect rally.
Yeah.
That's what people are saying, at least. But adding to the calamity surrounding that rally in particular was what one MAGA-friendly local sheriff claimed was yet another thwarted assassination attempt. Wow. 3 assassinations?
Another?
That's right, folks. According to Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, his deputies had saved the president's life this weekend after they'd successfully intercepted a would-be assassin whose unregistered SUV was filled with weapons and ammunition, as well as fake IDs and a fake passport.
Sounds serious.
I mean, yeah, look, okay, some of this is true.
Yeah, most of it's true, except for the assassination attempt.
There was a guy who was detained near the Trump rally with all of that stuff, which is obviously scary and sketchy, but the man who was detained and booked into a local jail was a massive Trump supporter who had been photographed alongside countless prominent MAGA figures like Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, Newt Gingrich, and RFK Jr. He's a MAGA chud, Second Amendment, sovereign citizen guy who apparently had a VIP pass and invite to the event.
He was literally told to come to the event.
Yeah.
He just showed up, as I'm sure a lot of people do show up, all these Second Amendment guys, armed to the teeth.
Yeah, like this is the thing. I bet if you searched every car or just a random sampling of cars at any Trump rally, you'd find a lot of cars like full of guns.
Also, quick side note, did you see the post that the guy willingly posted his go bag for Hurricane Milton? And it was like 2 jugs of water and like 3 guns.
Yeah, it was like some trail mix.
Yeah.
3 guns with silencers.
Enough meals for like a day.
2 handguns, which is like the real like the serious survivalist types were just like, why 2 handguns? That's fucking stupid. You need a shotgun for hunting birds. You need a rifle for long range. You need 1 handgun.
No. The migrants are gonna try to steal my 1,000 calories worth of MREs.
And yeah, the water was in like a Costco.
Like a jug, yeah.
He had the Costco bottles, the like 12-ounce bottles, and then the water fountain jugs that you can't be closed once you open them because
Fantastic. Great work.
Great job. But where was I? Okay, so yeah,
The assassin.
The
Yeah,
assassin,
yeah.
he was invited to the event. He had the VIP pass.
guess
So
so.
the MAGA sheriff just accidentally snagged one of his own cult members and tried to hype it up as if his team had successfully thwarted an assassination attempt. Masterful gambit, sir. And I love that, as always happens, this guy is going to be smeared as a liberal leftist Antifa
Yeah, you give
shooter.
your life to Trump,
Yeah.
and then you get misidentified, and immediately everyone turns on
I
you.
heard he was gay.
That's true. I saw it online.
I heard he was gay furry. Mm-hmm. Anyway, here's the LA Times with more.
The suspect, arrested with 2 loaded guns outside a Trump rally in Coachella over the weekend, said he planned to sue Riverside County after the sheriff claimed his deputies stopped the man from attempting to assassinate the former president. Vem Miller, 49, of Los Angeles, told The Times in a phone interview Monday that he brought his 2 weapons to the rally for self-protection, saying he has received death threats in response to work he has done for his media company, the America Happens Network. He said that Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco made false claims about him at a news conference over the weekend. At a news conference Sunday, Bianco said his deputies had likely thwarted an assassination attempt, although he acknowledged there is absolutely no way any of us are going to truly know what's in the suspect's head. The deputy questioning Miller noticed what Bianco called many irregularities with his SUV. The license plate was phony, the vehicle was unregistered, and the interior was in disarray, the sheriff said. A search of the SUV turned up fake passports and driver's licenses with different names, as well as guns and ammunition, Bianco said, which is obviously fucking suspicious. Like,
Yeah.
sure, that is suspicious. If you have a fake plate, which from what I read online is he printed out a sovereign citizen plate.
Yeah, these sovereign citizens are fucking weirdos, and they're always, this guy's a survivalist who's like ready for the end of the world or whatever, or when Kamala Harris comes to round him up, he'll have his fake passport and be like, no, actually, I'm not Vem Miller, I'm
Somebody else.
Daniel Person,
I'm a man incognito.
Yeah.
That's my name.
George Glass.
Miller's social media also appeared to show his support for Trump. Quote, I am willing to fight nonstop with everything I have for the next 4 years to help this country and this man, he wrote on Instagram after the Pennsylvania assassination attempt at a Trump rally. Along with the comment, he posted a photo of Trump raising his fist with blood on his ear.
I mean, very convenient that he would do that.
Good alibi you're setting up there.
Great little alibi. Though even with the release of all this information and testimonials from the suspect and his friends about his support for Trump, we're sure you can already assume the types of level-headed conversations that have sprung up online in the wake of this misidentification.
The whole story is just, it's not exactly funny, but it is funny that like this super MAGA sheriff was like, yep, my duty is done. I stopped a presidential assassination attempt. And he literally just snagged one of Trump's biggest supporters.
Yeah.
Who agrees with all of his own worldviews, the same worldviews that sheriff shares.
Yeah, I don't get it. Is guns like on the topic of guns? I thought it was cool that everyone owns a shitload of them and has them
all the time.
Has them with them at all times and whatnot.
Yeah, isn't that what?
I thought that's what you liked.
Yeah.
I guess not. But anyway, before we get into the second half of the show, let's release some of the tension in the room by playing an incredible clip of Trump attempting to pronounce a word that represents people from the state of Arizona, the Arizonans. I've heard maybe he was trying to say Assyrians, which is, that's a whole other thing of like people from the Middle East who are like, I'm not an Arab, I'm an Assyrian. I think there was an Assyrian, I don't know. Either he was trying to say Arizonans or Assyrians. He said neither of those things.
No.
Not even fucking close.
No.
If you haven't heard or seen this clip yet, take a quick second to guess how he would pronounce it. And we'd be willing to bet you'd still get it dead wrong. Mm-hmm. All right, time's up. Here you go.
You look great. Thank you, darling. Also, we have many Azerasians in our room. We have some incredible people in our room.
Wow.
Woo!
He's
Azurasians.
He's weaving, baby.
And just for fun, right before we filmed today, Trump made an appearance at the Economic Club of Chicago and failed at answering every legitimate question about the U.S. economy. But this clip in particular really drove home the idea that Trump has absolutely no clue what he's talking about.
What about consumers, people out there?
They're going to be the biggest beneficiaries.
Yeah, critics say your tariffs will end up being like a national sales tax.
Nope,
Because
the countries will pay.
If you have, America at the moment has $3 trillion worth of imports, you're going to add tariffs to every single one of them. That is going to push up the cost for all those people who want to buy foreign goods.
Now, what's going to
That is just
happen?
simple mathematics, President Trump.
It's not. Yeah, it is, but not the way you figure it. I was always very good at math.
In response to this appearance, Trump advisor and total piece of shit, Stephen Miller, tweeted the following.
This, by the way, is so in line with Stephen Chung's response to Trump just dancing for 39 minutes. It is.
The people loved it.
It feels like Trump's just like, I don't care what happens, you have to say the nicest possible thing
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Here's what he tweeted.
Here's what Miller said. Trump's Bloomberg interview at the Economic Club of Chicago was the greatest live interview any political leader or politician has done on the economy in our lifetimes, period.
What?
Oh, God.
Even if he was comprehensible, that wouldn't be true. Even if he was like on the top of his game, Trump like bullshitting in 2016 top of his game, like he would still be lying essentially.
It's so
But
funny
also,
that they can't just be like, wow, what a great interview from former President Trump. They got to
no,
be like,
this was the best of any politician ever. Period.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's on period.
We do have more news coming up in a second, and I'll try to make it a little more lighthearted than all the Trump stuff. But it is important to highlight all of that stuff because this guy, unfortunately, has a very real chance at regaining power, and we have to at least show and explain to you what that would look like using his own words and actions. Okay? But before we get into the second half of the show, it's time to thank our sponsors for supporting us, starting with a nice clean shave from our friends at Henson Shaving. Now, if you were born after 1970, there's a very good chance your first razor was a multi-blade razor. These razors have been the status quo for over half a century, but where has that gotten us? According to a recent study, 2/3 of men expect some irritation when they shave. And this next one is what really makes us upset. Over 2 billion plastic razors enter the landfill each year in the US alone.
That's too much. This is why Henson Shaving wants to change the shaving industry. Not through gimmicks like subscriptions or moisturizing strips, but through groundbreaking research on the impact shaving has on your skin. When Henson looked at other razors, they noticed a consistent lack of blade support. Basically that the blades have too much bend or flex. Think of anything else you'd cut with a kitchen knife, scissors, etc. You would not want the blade you use to be flopping around, moving, because you'd have less control. Henson's razors are designed to hold the blades so there is less bend and less wobble. Henson makes their razors in their aerospace machine shop in Canada that also made parts for a Mars rover and the International Space Station. Henson's machinists are exceptional at manufacturing, and that level of precision is one of the big reasons their razor is so much gentler on your skin. They have made it so that the blade extends only 0.0013 inches past the shave plane of the razor. That is less than the thickness of a human hair.
Plus, the Henson razor works with standard dual-edged blades that cost less than 10 cents each. Once you own a Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. The razor itself is made of aluminum, and there's no plastic. There's also no plastic in Henson's packaging. I use the razor, it's great. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/ITdaily to pick the razor for you and use code ITdaily and you'll get 2 years worth of blades for free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart. That is 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/ITdaily and use our code ITdaily.
This episode is also sponsored by Shopify. You probably already know them. Probably already love them. It's Shopify, the best platform for shopping, hosting your own business, and keeping track of all of your shipments in one place. There are a ton of amazing duos out there in the world. We're a perfect example. But the best duo, of course, is Shopify and you. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage, Shopify's there to help you grow.
Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, up to 36% better compared to other leading e-commerce platforms. No matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. We love Shopify's simple and easy to use app because it keeps track of all your online shipments, and you can even connect other platforms so that your tracking is all in one place.
Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's extensive help resources are there to support your success every step of the way. because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/itdaily, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/itdaily now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/itdaily.
All right, back to the news now. And before we get into some slightly more consequential news stories, let's have a little bit of fun and let you know that former actor and current Christian conservative grifter Russell Brand, he recently completed his metamorphosis by stripping down to his underwear, jumping into the River Thames with a bunch of dudes, and allowing himself to be baptized. Now, he's finally free to continue his grift, completely free of any criticism for his past actions, which of course include multiple sexual assault and harassment allegations.
You can't come after me. The Lord already forgave me my sins. I was actually reborn in that river.
That's right. So one of the first things he's decided to do on this new journey is to sell magical amulets. Woo! To his right-wing followers who will just believe anything.
If you had showed me where this guy's fucking life would be, 10 years ago, this is what Russell Brand's doing in 2024.
Get him to the Greek. Did not age well, as everyone's pointed out.
I would not have believed you. This guy was pretty fucking normal. Not that long ago.
I would say the British people knew about him being kind of a fucking asshole for a long time.
He always sucked, but
he was just an eccentric actor who was...
I would have always assumed that this level of grift was below him. This is not what I would have expected him to go.
He, even pre-pandemic, started like a YouTube news show and just went wherever the algorithm took him. And naturally, the algorithm took him into the ultra right-wing corners of the website.
Vaccine denialism
and then COVID
conspiracies
sent that skyrocketing, and he just leaned into all of it. And then he became one of those people where you just excuse away all of your bad behavior because you're a victimized conservative. And the final note on that is getting baptized.
The conservative part is crazy, though. He was very left-wing. Again, not that long ago. Yeah, but it's fucking weird.
But then he got left behind.
I guess so. I guess he did.
Anyways, folks, for the low price of just $240...
Fuck off.
You can block out all the evil energies and cell phone interference that you come in contact with thanks to Russell Brand's magical amulets. Here, take a look.
Hello, I'm just back from Narnia, where I had a holiday, Mr. Tumnus, Aslan, all those guys. And as you know, airports are places full of Wi-Fi and all sorts of evil energies. Think of all the phones out there, all of the signals, corruptible and corrupting. Luckily, I wear this magical amulet from Tech that keeps me safe from all of the various signals out there. And also means, look at this. Look how strong I am. I think this is making me more powerful, as a matter of fact. Look at that. This stuff is absolutely packed with Tech. I didn't even bring any socks or toothbrush or dog meat or anything like that. Just completely full of Tech. And you should get one as well, particularly if you're planning to go to an airport anytime soon, because the bloody things are full of lethal signals. Tech.
This is, first of all, that's too much. You remember the power balance bracelets from 15 years ago?
And those were demonstrable because you would, the grift there was that they would push down on you.
Pushing me.
And so the next time you would do it, your body naturally would push back against the force it just received.
Wow. But that was literally just a holographic sticker on a plastic bracelet.
Or a copper bracelet or something.
They got athletes and famous people to wear it. No, man, it gives me better
Sure,
balance.
Whatever works. And this is for $20, people will take a gamble.
Yeah, power balance, I don't even think they were that expensive.
Yeah.
And they still made a lot of money. $240, you're coming out the gate a little strong, sir.
Well, that's the smart thing to do is because why would something so expensive not work?
Yeah, and to be clear, all power balance did was make you have better balance. These protect you from demons.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Doing a little bit more for you. Now, it's of course not lost on anyone that he recorded this advertisement for magical amulets that block pesky phone and Wi-Fi signals on a phone while using a wireless microphone, which would, at the very least, debunk the very claims that he's making.
There's no interference in between him with the amulet
Crystal clear.
Yeah.
Rational people aren't who he's targeting, though, so that's neither here nor there. A YouTuber who goes by Backlog Reviewer did a simple search into these magical amulets and found some pretty funny stuff as a result. So go follow them for the full thread, but here's some highlights. Brand-specific brand of 5G deflector appears to be the LifeTune Mini on some heinous little rat boy necklace of some kind. This thing is, from what I can tell, a resin keyring that retails for €200 a pop, or buy two for a mere $370. Who could resist? But I thought to myself, there's got to be some science behind this. And wouldn't you know it, the Our Technology section gives a breakdown of just that very thing in the form of a handy graph.
And yeah, here's that graph. That literally just shows an image of a radiation source and a biological object, a human, with the Amulet's technology just getting in the way of the two.
Beep, bop, boop.
Yeah, done. So pretty brilliant. And the OP even posts info about the paragraph's worth of jargon that supposedly explain how all this work. Hint, it doesn't. And also points out that one of the source links that's on the manufacturer's webpage just goes directly to a Russian-owned web encyclopedia. So be wary of where you're getting your info, I guess. The deep dive, of course, continues, adding to the absolute lunacy behind the product itself. But suffice to say, it's clearly all bullshit. But if you want to take that ride, again, we'll link the entire Twitter thread below because it's ridiculous. It's silly. Then again, like we said, these products, they're not meant for us. They're meant for total rubes who, blinded by their faith and blinded by their loyalty to these grifters, will buy anything that they think will help keep them safe from conspiracies that are not real. It goes back to just so many conspiracies across the spectrum, especially in America, but overseas as well, where at a base level, if you just asked someone and they responded honestly, if you ask them, how does this, even if it were real, how does this actually affect you, or how has it affected you on a daily basis, go? And nothing does.
Well, it's like with immigrants. It's, I don't feel as happy as I used to. And that must be because of Wi-Fi and 5G. That's the reason my life isn't as good as it
This
as I
isn't the
was
first
hoping it would
time,
be.
nor the last time it'll be pointed out, but, well, historically, Huntington Beach, obviously a huge MAGA area.
Yeah.
And an area that
Chud
complains
Beach.
endlessly about immigration, while at the same time hiring immigrants to do all of their yard work and house cleaning and babysitting
It's so
and
funny.
child raising.
I had a lot of friends growing up who were from Huntington Beach, and they were all exceedingly normal. But they all lived a little further inland.
Okay, there you go.
And it wasn't until much later that I realized what a fucking loony bin the city of Huntington Beach is. Anyway, moving on to more good news.
Yeah.
One of Adolf Hitler's most loyal supporters fell off a mountain and died.
Yeah.
And he didn't fall off any old mountain. This neo-Nazi hiker apparently fell while trying to climb Hitler's favorite mountain.
Okay.
A fitting end to a fucking asshole. Here's the Daily Mail with more on this freak. A top German neo-Nazi plunged 200 feet to his death while hiking what is believed to have been Hitler's favorite mountain. Andreas M., 37, from Freising, was considered one of the leading neo-Nazis in Bavaria. He died on September 29th while climbing the Untersberg mountain in an international 30-person group. The Berchtesgadener Land District Association of the Red Cross confirmed. The 1,972-meter high mountain was known to be Adolf Hitler's favorite view, with the Nazi dictator having his Berghof holiday home on the opposite Obersalzberg mountainside converted into his residence. I've been there. It's fucking weird. But when the hiking group went to descend from the peak, named Störhaus, Andreas M. slipped on a wet route and stumbled 200 feet through partly vertical rocky terrain down to the Donges Marterl, where he lay fatally injured on the path.
And it continues, adding that Andreas was one of the top figures in the Bavarian Regional Association of the right-wing extremist party, the Third Way. He was treasurer and assessor of the regional association in the small neo-Nazi party. Calls for donations for the family and for a memorial plaque on the mountain have been making the rounds in recent days, especially in various right-wing extremist groups on Telegram and Facebook. The Prisoner Aid Friend Circle for imprisoned neo-Nazis and other right-wing groups shared the message, "His death hits us all hard." Already, 7,000 euros have been raised on the page, set up by a neo-Nazi from Lower Saxony, apparently a close friend of the deceased. Another appeal for donations brought in 12,000 euros, which will finance a memorial plaque on the mountain. And, oh geez, wouldn't it be terrible if all these neo-Nazis climbed up there to place this plaque and somehow lost their footing in the process?
That'd be tragic.
Gonna need a lot more plaques.
But speaking of ignorant pieces of shit, Twitch streamer and physically disgusting person, Asmongold, who is famous for his video game streams as well as wiping his bloody gums all over his wall and creating entire ecosystems out of the filthy dishes he refuses to clean. He also used a dead rat as an alarm clock for several years.
There you go.
Has shockingly had some extremely heartless and dehumanizing things to say about the genocide that is still currently happening to the Palestinian people. This has resulted in at least one of his Twitch accounts getting banned and losing some sponsorships in the process. But all that underscores just how vile his statements actually were. And we would show the clip, but it's been taken down from a few places, so we don't want to risk it. But you can definitely find it on Reddit and Twitter regardless. Here's what he said on a stream this past Monday, referring to Palestinians as they, and also seeming to broadly refer to they as just Arab people in general.
Which is a common theme with people.
Yeah.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. Yeah, again, it's just straight up Nazi type talking.
It is, but I think the reason he felt so comfortable saying this is because anti-Arab bigotry has for a very long time been like one of the few acceptable ways that you can just say hateful shit and get away with it. Like going back, I mean, it really kicked off in 9/11, but even before then, you could hear some just straight up genocidal shit from like your teachers, your parents, just like everyday people in your life who you wouldn't expect that kind of talk to come from.
Yeah, the terms like antithetical to Western values or inferior culture is just so disgusting. And of course, this all comes after one of the most horrific videos that we have ever seen out of this assault on Gaza, which is really saying something because there have been horrific images and videos. It is something so reprehensible that it makes his remarks far worse than you can imagine. Like we said, though, the account that he was streaming from was suspended. It appears as though it's just 14 days, naughty.
Yeah. Well, maybe kick, unless he decides to text and drive a $200,000 car.
Asmongold also posted an apology, quote unquote, on Twitter that clearly didn't make up for his remarks, saying in part, looking back on it, I was way too much of an asshole about the Palestine thing. My bad. Of course, no one deserves to have their life destroyed, even if they do things or have views I find regressive.
Okay, cool. Anyway, one last update before we get out of here for the day. It looks like all those conspiracy theories about the hurricanes, as well as the federal response and recovery efforts, have led to militias threatening aid workers both online and in real life, which has now resulted in at least one man being charged after threatening FEMA workers with an assault rifle in western North Carolina. Here's local outlet Fox 8 with more on that. At around 12:54 p.m. on Saturday, deputies got a report of a man with an assault rifle who made a comment about possibly harming FEMA workers providing Hurricane Helene disaster relief in the area of Lake Lure and Chimney Rock. Investigators went to the location where the threat was made in Polk County, obtained a description of the suspect vehicle, and shared it with other law enforcement. The suspect was later identified as William Jacob Parsons, 44, of Bostick. Parsons was taken into custody and charged with going armed to the terror of the public.
Weird wording, but
I guess that's what the law is there.
Yeah. Continues, deputies say that Parsons was armed with a handgun and a rifle at the time of his arrest. Parsons was given a $10,000 secured bond. He has since made bond and has been released from custody. Investigators say that Parsons acted alone. This past weekend, FEMA announced that it was making, quote, operational adjustments due to safety concerns.
We're trying to help you people.
Yeah. FEMA continues to support communities impacted by Helene and help survivors apply for assistance. And yeah, that they're literally
trying to fucking help you morons.
In a statement, a representative for FEMA also said the following to that news outlet. For the safety of our dedicated staff and the disaster survivors we are helping, FEMA has made some operational adjustments. Disaster recovery centers will continue to be open as scheduled. Survivors continue to register for assistance, and we continue to help the people of North Carolina with their recovery. This is like they've been getting death threats as well. It's just absurd.
It's so fucking stupid. And yeah, I mean, this all, of course, it started organically among just stupid, brain-broken people on social media.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, they won't let me fly my Cessna filled with stuff to airdrop in. There must be something wrong. They're definitely hiding something.
But yeah, prominent figures on the right definitely amplified this shit and made it so much worse. So great job to everyone. But there you go. Glad this didn't escalate to actual violence, but it's further proof that these insane online conspiracy theories that are repeated in some cases by elected officials can have very real consequences. And it makes it extra maddening that the people on the ground representing or contracted through these organizations are literally there to help save people's lives and offer support to those impacted by the storms.
And instead, they're just not only being told to go away, they're being threatened.
Yeah.
Physically threatened.
Your house is burning down and you're pulling a gun on the fire department.
It's insane.
God, this is so dumb.
Anyways, that's it for today's episode. We'll be back with some tech news very shortly. But in the meantime, make sure you like the video.
Please.
I'll wait. We'll just bob around randomly while we wait for you to hit the like.
Bob around.
Hey.
Ave Maria.
That guy's not leaving. He's going to take a shit. All right. Thank you for clicking the like button. Make sure you leave a comment, talk about whatever you want or something that we covered today. Please, if you're not already, please subscribe. And of course, we have 2 episodes for you to watch. We got Elon and his stupid, dumb Robovan, his robo-taxi garbage that's never going to happen, and his robots that were operated by humans.
That stock has stayed down.
And also we have an episode about LinkedIn lunatics and how they've gone too far. We'll see you soon for some tech news.
Bye-bye.
Bye.